Good morning, Jess. Good morning, everybody. Cars rolling out the lane now for Armour All qualifying. Part one of two stories involving who's going to get the pole position for our first of the two endurance races here in Townsville this weekend. 250k race coming up this afternoon and another tomorrow. So right now qualifying, then we've got the top 10 shootout to come. And so there are two schools of thought in the way in which this is sorted. You've got to put together a quick car. You can't use up too much of your rubber in the process, and you've got to have a little bit in reserve to be able to play the top 10 shootout game. Morning to you once again.
Morning, Neil. Yes, had the rear wheels locked down as he tried to turn it into the final corner. And it's a real challenge that everybody's trying to deal with this weekend. I love it when you've got such driver commentary, and the feedback back to the engineers all weekend has been funny to listen to, because they're all trying so hard to optimize what is effectively a lower grip level, and trying to get the car turned and stopped on this layout is a very difficult equation, as you can see there for Hazelwood, using every little bit of road out to that apron on the left-hand side.
Di Pasquale, car number 11. Brock Feeney's gone quicker on a 13.5 than anyone else. Now Will Davison eclipses that on a 13.3 on screen.
Yeah,
Indigenous livery on the Shelby Power Racing car this weekend. Brody Kostecki and Will Brown on screen. The Boost Mobile entries for Erebus Motorsport sat in their garage having a chat this morning. They were somewhat bewildered with car behaviour yesterday, and they're using a kitchen sink approach today, which is throw everything, including that, at a setup change.
Scott Pye comes up 10 spots to 4th. So Davison, Feeney, Di Pasquale, Pye, Brody Kostecki, Winterbottom. James Golding, what a great job by young James Golding. He's up in 7th at the moment. Hazelwood, Jones and Pither.
Just to provide some more context around that, it is encouraging to see young James doing so well. If you didn't catch the news after the last event in Darwin, Gary Jacobson, who'd been driving the Premier Racing Subway entry, was unfortunately excused from that team. Here we are with Mostert.
Something really weird there, because Cam Waters did the fastest first sector, but then has completely backed it off. So he must have made a mistake at the commencement of the second sector, and has now eased the car off, and he'll go again in a second. Now, the other thing that's funny is Van Gisbergen has only done a 15.4 on the opening lap, so that's like a 75 or 80% lap to warm the tyre. To your point, you can't do that in the top 10 shootout, but you'll have to do whatever that is now to get you in the 10.
And he made that remark in the media conference yesterday that he thought that you might have to do that to get the tyres cycled into position for your flying lap. Heimgartner on screen, position number 3 on a 13.5. They're chasing Davison on a 13.3. And Will Brown next. Remember the Grant McPherson's engineering Nick Percat now. And we're seeing speeds popping up everywhere out there at the moment with 7.5 remaining. Now Heimgartner's gone quicker in sector 1 than anybody else, and it's only by a whisker.
Thomas Randall fastest in sector 2. In fact, Thomas Randall is going to pop way up. Heimgartner, as you just said, fastest in the first sector. What's David Reynolds done? He's come up 16 spots to 9th. Thomas Randall now goes to 4th. Excellent job. Now, Van Gisbergen has now done a number in the first sector that's almost exactly the same as Heimgartner. He's currently 23rd. The Kiwi, who leads the championship by 214 points, has just done the fastest second sector. Here comes SVG. 23rd right now, finishing off the lap. Reynolds comes up 5 spots into 5th, so he gets into the 10.
Here he is into the final corner. You can see the surface change there into the left-hander at turn 13. It was skating on the brakes on the way in, traction limited on the way out. He's got this thing at the extreme edge of the grip limit, and he goes to position number 1 by 0.13 of a second. Andrew Edwards, his engineer, on screen in the centre of screen. Mark Dutton, team manager, behind. So a pause moment now for pretty much the entire field to come in, offload data, think about it, make potentially a quick change. And for those at the back end of the 10 or just on the outside fringe, a big opportunity to try and shuffle that order. They are chasing Shane Van Gisbergen. 1 minute 13.2 is the target. 0.13 of a second back to Will Davison, who's been the master in Armour All qualifying this year. Brock Feeney's done a mighty job for position 3.
And so is Thomas Randall in 7th. Excellent job. Van Gisbergen out of the car,
Yeah,
and deservingly so with a 13.2.
all you're going to do now by going back out is using tyres or risking the car. High risk, these street circuits. Any little mistake can be pretty costly around here. Waters is the one to watch. Jack LeBron has just jumped up into third spot on a 13.4. That secures him, I would think, into the top 10.
Yep.
But there's a pile of drivers on the fringe. Will Brown just punched it up into position 12. It's not quite enough. Jake Kostecki to 11th. That's also just frighteningly close, but not quite. Winterbottom comes up now into 10th position for Team 18. And Irwin Tools. Anton Di Pasquale up 5 spots to position number 4. He's now secure. Keep an eye on Waters. Comes to the line now and to the top. 13 flat for the Monster Energy Ford Mustang.
So that number I gave you before, the 13.6 or 7, that's now... it's actually not going to be that. It's going to be a 13.6. Scott Pye comes up. So did Tim Slade, 8th and 9th. David Reynolds is now on the cusp. Thomas Randall has been dropped out of the 10.
But exit is now closed.
Brock Feeney, who we're just seeing come across the line now, he's currently 6th.
And 13.6 for him on that lap. Andre Heimgartner just jumps it up 4 spots into position number 3. So David Reynolds in the danger zone in 10th position. And Mostert jumps up 10 spots into 7th. Reynolds is now out of the top 10. And Tim Slade is right on the fringe.
James Golding come up 7 spots to 18th. Nice job.
Here's Winterbottom on a subsequent lap. So Frosty 13th now as a winner and a pole sitter previously at this location. Is there anybody with anything up their sleeve to the line now as they all greet the checkered flag?
Just didn't improve then, Frosty, on that second lap. David Reynolds has been knocked out into 11th.
I tell you, a guy who'll be thrilled with that performance in qualifying will be Tim Slade. Tide's been out in the recent past for him in the Cool Drive entry. There he is in the background, car number 3, the blue Mustang. And no change for the time. It was a 13.8 for him on that lap, but his peak number was a 13.6 that at this stage has kept him into the top 10. Bryce Forward crossing the line here as well, moved up a bunch of spots, 8 of them in fact to 16th position. Cool session, 15 minutes, qualifying 19, and what that does is set the tone for those that participate now in the Armour All Top 10 shootout to come at midday local time. Everything from position 11 through 25 is now frozen for our race this afternoon. 250 kilometres, 88 laps, and David Reynolds didn't quite make the grade. So looking at that, half a second spread across the top group. Waters the fast one, and Tim Slade thrilled to be able to get into that group for sure. Reynolds heads the next group, and Nick Percat down in position number 20, and his teammate Chaz Mostert was able to just jump up in the late stages of that qualifying session. Then James Golding making his return to supercar competition in 21st.